Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Brighter podcast. My name is BatSheva.
And my name is Chelsea.
And my life and my world is brighter.
And my life and whole living experience is extremely brighter thanks to BatSheva.
And we're here to help your day and your life become brighter, as well as we use stories from our lives, tools that we use, techniques that we love to illustrate different subjects and help you see how we help ourselves. And whatever works for you, you take it, you try it. And if you can add more to your toolbox of life, all the better. And today we are going to get into a wonderful topic very close to my heart. When life gets challenging, how do you comfort yourself? And before we get into it, we'll do what we love to do in the beginning of our podcast, which is invite all of you listeners along with us to arrive in this space where we are meeting each other on the digital airwaves. And we'll do that by taking 3 nice. So if you are in a safe place to close your eyes, go ahead and close your eyes and relax. And if not, just kind of like center your listening in your heart. Breathe in through your nose, calming, quieting energy. And breathe out through your mouth. Anything that's ready to go, let it go. Again, breathing in through your nose, calming, quieting energy. Breathing out through your mouth. Anything ready to go, let it go. Final breath, breathing in, calming, soothing energy. And breathing out, whatever's ready to go, let it go. All right.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I love that so much. Oh my gosh.
I do too. Actually, even when I listen back to our podcast, I find myself relaxing and centering myself like a Pavlov dog, like, yep, here we go.
Last week we discussed, is a breakup always in your best interest? And so thinking about the breakup and what sometimes comes after that or during that is the comforting or the care of ourselves. And so, we thought that this would be a great way to follow up. So if you missed last week's episode, you can go back and listen to that if that applies to you and sounds like something that may pertain or you can relate to. And then we'll talk about what different techniques and things that we've used to comfort ourselves, which I can honestly say for me has definitely evolved and is ever changing. It used to be a lot of drinking. It used to maybe not be, I don't know if comforting or numbing is the best word for it, but it was an escape.
Well, I can actually share that as recently as like yesterday and the day before, I noticed that I was like desiring to comfort myself through drugs and alcohol. And like, side note, I don't drink and I don't do drugs, but I did in my 20s actually really suffer pretty badly if I forget that I suffer and that I do drink too much, or I don't know, I take some substance. I fucking wind up regretting it like no tomorrow. But still, I found myself just wanting it, like wanting some drugs, especially like right before I was going to go on stage, or like that whole day when I was getting ready to like do the big exciting gig that our band had just a couple nights ago. I wanted to comfort myself and I wanted a fucking drug. And it was interesting to observe that because I wasn't going to give myself what I wanted. I was stuck with myself, and it was the right thing to be stuck with myself so that I could actually just get through that uncomfortability and that desire to have something else help me to feel more at ease, more free, more comfort. And it is tough. And I mean, I would say lucky in that I just came into this world, this lifetime, without an addictive personality or a disorder or the disease that many have as one of their karmic challenges in this lifetime, because I literally tried to become an alcoholic. I tried to become a smoker. I wanted to do all those things in my 20s and I just couldn't. Like, my whole body rejected it after like a few years. I think I have an allergy to all of it, basically. I can barely be around it.
That's so amazing and interesting to hear because after seeing the performance videos, which if you haven't checked out anything or you don't know about BatSheva's recent huge performance at the Mint with her band, Girl Band USA, you can follow them on social media and watch them grow. It was incredible. She was owning it and you looked so natural and at ease and just
You know what? I felt super free on stage.
that's amazing. And the fact that you didn't take anything, like you didn't have any cocktails to loosen up or any sort of substances to kind of relax yourself. You just went out there and were able to give it your all and really shine. And she sent me a few videos and then like she had this one where it was one of the last ones that I received and she had these heart-shaped like ski goggles on and I was just like, yes, this is amazing. I love it. Oh, wow. So
I got those at Mardi Gras.
yeah, and it's Girl Band USA music that plays, original music that plays on our intro and our outro, just for FYI.
Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. And we are on Spotify, Apple Music. Thank you so much for the plug. And those glasses came straight from Mardi Gras, New Orleans, where I went with my siblings a few years back, and they've come in a lot. I actually walk on stage too with another mask with all these feathers that we got at Mardi Gras. But, I'm happy you mentioned that because I felt probably more free on stage than I've almost ever felt. I mean, each time progressively more and more. We're still pretty new band. And you know what? If I had drank or taken something, which I mean, I'm human. I'm not saying I never will, but I just was able to somehow like kind of resist the urge this time. And I think as I remember literally how much my body hates it and I just didn't want to deal with that. I'm sure actually it could have backfired, like either making my vocal cords constrict a bit. I mean, it doesn't always work in my favor. But on the other hand, anyway, also I would never have learned the lesson that I learned, which is I was super comfortable on stage and very free and happy. Like I was actually in shock with myself how free I was and I felt. And it's a good reminder that often when we do want that numbing or quote unquote comforting, which is numbing, which we all do, if it's TV or eating, it's not only the hard stuff. But if and when we can manage to get past that craving and just stick with the tough feelings and maybe find other ways to comfort ourselves, which we'll get into in a minute, the reward is huge. I think almost every time, if not every time, right?
I mean, like hearing you talk about thinking about it or desiring that before going on stage kind of led me to think about whenever we first started going to music festivals and concerts and all these things. And there was that desire. I mean, my husband and I were both still drinking then. And I mean, there's so many shows that honestly, I'm like, can I remember them? I know that it was a great time at the time, I guess, but do I even really remember? And I think about more recently, whenever I literally have just had cacao or something that's not, intense or altering me. And it's not to say that I've never done that since then, because that would be a lie, but just like the feeling of what I'm able to feel sober or with just a little cacao, something a little heart opening that is, it's amazing to be able to remember the conversations that you have with people and remember the people and, the different songs that the band played and how you felt during it.
I'm about to get into MI territory. So if you are by any chance my child listening to this or related in any way to my child, please turn off this episode right now and don't come back. Because I was thinking to myself as you're talking, what did I do actually to comfort myself? And I didn't even have my cacao, my beloved Soulscription cacao, because I'd fucking run out. And then like the delivery, it was my own fault. I was kind of waited to ask for my next delivery. But anyway, I was left without my comfort cacao. But I did give myself a number of amazing orgasms in my own precious time. And I'm going to go ahead and chalk that up as a very out of the box way that we as goddesses can absolutely come back to ourselves and comfort ourselves. So I'm really apologizing to any family members right now, in particular my kids.
I mean, okay, maybe your 10-year-old, he's maybe not there yet, but all of your other children are Well, maybe your 14-year-old, who knows about her.
There's like a cringe factor though, when it's your mom, I think. Yeah.
But it's part of who we are. It's part of this animal instinct in us. Like, what do we want? Food and to procreate. It's like, what are we here for? To survive and to live on, continue on the species. I think it's just a natural drive, although some people's drive is a little bit more intense than others. But maybe that's just because their sacral chakra is open more than others. They're able to access those parts, which I will say, reading Mama Gina's book, I felt so much more connected to myself and through pleasure, and highly recommend, highly recommend Pussy, a Reclamation by Regina Thomason.
Thomas Hauer.
Yeah, if you haven't read it and you're a woman, read it. If you're a man and you want to know more about your woman, read it. Amazing.
Yes, yes, yes. And it's kind of how you and I became friends and stayed friends. And I mean, we kind of almost owe it all to her. If you guys listen back to our first and second episode, you'll hear the origin story.
The deep connection through the
pussy. The juicy origin story is getting.
Oh my goodness. All right. So other comforting ways, I would say, and this has been like a huge realization for me, is that whenever I'm like facing something uncomfortable, whether it be being around people that maybe I don't feel as confident, or being in a situation where I'm not really sure, or feeling pressure, there's definitely like that, what am I reaching for? And I will say, like I said before, it felt like it was alcohol. And then as like my healthy habits continued to form, or as my habits continued to change and evolve, and I got away from alcohol, I can't say that there weren't other things that came into play. For instance, I noticed a couple years ago that going to family functions, or if I was going to be on a long-term vacation, like 4 days is about my cutoff. After 4 days, I'm just like, what is going on? Like, I need to get out of here. I need some time to myself. I need to recenter. But if a subject would come up at dinner or in conversation that I didn't really feel confident in speaking out against, but I definitely didn't agree with, but I didn't know how to articulate that in the proper manner, and I didn't want it to turn into confrontation or conflict. It was like, what can I put in my mouth to stop that? And that was usually food. There's usually food at every gathering. And so I would notice that in myself. And I even like shared it with Hunter that, wow, I do not want to do that. I don't want to feel the desire, because whenever I walk away, I'm like feeling not great about the choices that I made, and not great, like not only about the choices I made ingesting more food or different kind of food that I don't even like or don't agree with my body, but then also not speaking my truth and not saying what I was feeling or communicating in a way. Stand up for, or to just speak what I was feeling. And so that comfort of the food has definitely played a role in my life. And I would say that probably is my usual go-to, is bringing mouth pleasure if I'm looking for comfort.
So what do you do during a fast? What do you do during a fast?
The fast, that's why the fasts are so magical for me, I think, because it is living in the discomfort. It's working through it. It's sitting in the discomfort and letting it pass. Because just like you're not on a fast, I mean, for me anyways, hunger comes and goes. It's like, oh, I'm hungry. But if you don't have access to food, or if you're in the middle of something and you can't take a break to eat because you're like on a time crunch or whatever it is, then next thing you know, like, I'm not hungry anymore. It might be like hours later or something before that feeling, that urge, that craving comes again. And so it's just life, like clouds floating by, and they'll be there and then they'll be gone. And maybe the wind is blowing strongly and the clouds move quicker than other days that the wind is barely blowing, and they creep on by, and it might have to be sitting in the discomfort a little bit longer than desired. But for me, the fast is incredible because I just am allowed I just feel, and then it miraculously works through me.
And if you guys didn't hear that episode that we did on the water fast that Chelsea and I both participated in, I recommend it highly. Go ahead and listen to that. But, Chelsea, what you were just saying made me think that it's so interesting because when we conceptualized this podcast episode, we were thinking about how we and others can comfort ourselves during challenging and difficult times. And of course, every podcast pretty much that we have offered at the Brighter podcast here really contains a tool to help comfort oneself. If it's smashing a coconut, if it's journaling or voice journaling, if it's doing the daily W's with yourself or with a partner, if it's, of course, taking a walk or being in nature, getting in water, all these things that we recommend to our clients or we've shared on podcasts. For me, sometimes just even listening to a soothing podcast voice, even our podcast can soothe me and comfort me. But still, just listening to you now made me realize actually what the secret hidden title of this podcast has to do with discomfort. It has to do with sitting in and being in discomfort without knowing exactly how or when it will be alleviated.
And I think even to add to that, it's releasing the expectation or the grasping to how or when it will be alleviated. Like just saying like, okay, I don't know how long I'm going to be here, and that's okay. Because I think that we've both found in our own personal journey that it's actually the moment where we're just like, here we are, this is how it is, and I'm just accepting
Yeah.
it. And that's the moment that it actually like breathing inside us that we need to achieve our highest desires, our highest goals. So, what is it? Can we just be with whatever we are at the moment until the higher self, our higher self, like speaks to us and, there's a new way to go or there's a action to take. And knowing that the action is coming from our heart and gut.
I love that. And you know what else is comforting during the discomfort? Finding a modality that works for you to help you cry. This is like the thing that we always run from, and it can be difficult. We're not really trained. I heard about these rooms in New York. I think they're called sob rooms or something. And this entrepreneur actually opened them up where people can go in New York and cry. And I was very fascinated with that that's being monetized. But if it's watching a sad movie, that's one way. Or if it's doing breath work, like with a practitioner like Chelsea, that she can really help you get there. Or for me, often it will work if I'm just really still and quiet. And then I allow the emotions, the thoughts that trigger the emotions really to come and say hello. And then the emotions follow. And then afterwards, I feel better. So it's almost this, what's the word? It's like,
What's the word for when you think it should be one thing, but it's the opposite of what you think it should be, that's actually the solution? That's what I feel like I'm saying. Like when we're feeling discomfort and we're really being challenged.
Just naturally as a human, we don't want to just like relax and cry. And yet, that may be the most comforting act we can do with a compassionate coach or practitioner or by ourselves, either one, with the creator. We're never totally by ourselves.
I feel like crying is so cleansing.
It's like cleansing for your eyes. You think about water, it's just washing over you. It's a release. It's like an emotional release. All the time after I cry, I feel it's a deep breath. It's that weight lifted. And yeah, you're right. A lot of times it's holding back the tears. It doesn't feel comfortable to cry in front of others. Or is this the right place? Or I know I've felt at times, should I be crying right now? Am I worthy to cry? There's other people here that maybe they deserve to cry more than me because they knew this person or they were more connected to someone or the situation. And so should I even be crying? And the answer is yes. Like if you feel the tears and you want to cry, let it out. It like wants to come through you. It wants to move through you. Let it be felt, because you'll feel so much better every time that I'm in that state where I'm like, oh, don't like just hold it back. Then I just try to remember it's okay. And it's still a practice for me to feel comfortable in every situation to cry.
I think it's amazing that you mentioned that, especially because it's so common for many of us, if not all of us, to always look to someone who has it worse. And therefore, why should we cry? That's, nothing compared. What we're experiencing is nothing compared to what the person next to us, or the person who was closer to the person who passed, or the person who has just more misfortune or bigger challenges. So yeah, it's nice that you mentioned that, because that's just bullshit, basically. Like Chelsea said, if you feel that you need comforting, if you feel stuck, if you feel challenged, let it out. I love that whole metaphor as well of the water. Water's so cleansing. It's so beautiful. Tears. Are we ready to move into the wins, wows, and wishes?
I think so.
Awesome. So as you all may know by now, we love to close each episode with a little snapshot of our daily W routine, which is Chelsea and I, every day, we share with each other through audio voice texts, 3 wins, 3 wows, and 3 wishes. If you want to hear more about this technique, it's on episode number 2. And in the meantime, we will leave you with just a little snapshot. I'll start with one win. I will say the win is that Girl Band USA played the Mint. I mean, I have to put the bookend on all of that, because I've been talking about it over several episodes. And it was a dream come true to play in that venue. I'm certainly hoping to play there again, but just the fact that we did it, and we did it well, and I felt, like I said, very free and happy. That was a huge win for me. And wow, my gratitude wow is going to be in relation to my mother's visit, which she just left today. It was probably the most connective visit I've had in recent memory with her. And they're always nice visits, but this one got a little deeper at times. Our conversation, we had a lot of really wonderful events to go to. We cooked at home, we ate out, she connected with each kid. And I'm just so lucky and grateful to have a mother who's still alive, who's healthy, who's independent. She's in her early 80s and she is fucking killing the game. She's doing amazing. I could not be more grateful just for her health and vitality, and for the time that we just spent together.
And I will wrap it up here with my wish. So I was actually able to attend a local film festival here in Columbia, Missouri, called the True False Film Festival. And I got to see a couple of different documentary films, one called Seeds and one called The Track. Both were incredible stories, and I was deeply touched, and I actually cried in both of them. And it really, I would say that they shined a light for me on just kind of like some different issues that, even though these were like a couple years in the past, that can still be felt, that are still being felt. And so my wish is really for the collective, and it's for everyone that is feeling some discomfort, some pain, some unfairness or unjust right now, that they are able to feel inside themselves and connect to themselves, trust that everything that is happening for our highest good, that we can't always see it, and that it doesn't always make sense at the time because we don't know how everything's going to play out, but that there's able to be a little bit of comfort in just trusting in a higher power, in a higher plan, and trusting that there are good people. Everyone does inherently have good in them. And sometimes it's just hard for everyone to display that through the pain. But my wish is just to promote that kindness, that compassion, and that trust in the collective and in all those that are hearing this and everyone that I come into contact with, so that it may ripple out and have a lasting effect.
Love, 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 love times a billion. Love that wish. I'm on board with you. And actually, I just started writing a new song for our band called Kindness. And it was literally inspired by this thought I had, like, why aren't we more kind to each other in the public sphere and the private sphere? And I just totally am down with that wish. So thank you for articulating that.
Yeah, and kind to ourselves, because that's kind of where it all starts. Like, how kind are we being to ourselves? How compassionate are we? How much compassion are we showing ourselves? How much love are we showing ourselves? And so, yeah, just kind of circling back to the comfort, I wanted to just say one last thing about how you comfort or what you look to comfort is to not shame yourself on whatever it is you're choosing for that comfort. Because in the moment, you're doing it because your body, your mind, your heart, your gut, something is asking for something. You're doing it because your body, your mind, your heart, your gut, something is asking for something. And although sometimes it may be numbing in that form, it's still like, in a sense, that you're just trying to help yourself. And so to just be kind to yourself and be compassionate, and just to bring more awareness to those comfort things are. And then with that awareness, to work through and decide if those comforting techniques are in your highest good. Just like what BatSheva was saying at the beginning of the episode, knowing that she's made those choices before and remembering what it feels like afterwards, and having that kind of in the back of your mind with each choice that you're making whenever it comes to comforting yourself, kind of remembering, like, afterward, does this feel good? Afterwards, is this beneficial for after the fact, after the initial comfort of it? And using that to help yourself grow, to help yourself evolve, to help yourself expand into your highest form, or the highest good of yourself and everyone in the whole.
Thank you so much for saying that. That was really necessary. And I'm so glad you remembered to say that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you all for joining us. We love having you. We love sharing with you, and we appreciate you. Please make sure to subscribe if you're not already subscribed to our podcast, and please share. We really appreciate it when people share our podcast with friends and others who you think may enjoy it. And with that, I'm going to wish on behalf of Chelsea and me that your day becomes brighter, your life looks brighter, and we look forward to seeing you next episode.
Bye.